Well, hi guys and gals, it's me George, the Shade Tree Fix-It Man. And I have another project. I think it's going to be a quickie. I hope it is going to be a quickie. But this is a 2012 Husqvarna riding mower that I just bought yesterday. And I got it out of a storage locker sale. Family was emptying it out. And this tractor had been through a flood. And I was just looking at it a moment ago, and I noticed that even inside the headlights here, there's still mud in there. And you can see a little bit up top here. But otherwise, this unit is very clean. And you can see, well, look at that. There's the water line right there. How you doing there, Jinx? One of our cats. Anybody want a cat? And supposedly the son of the man who owned it had tried starting it and he couldn't get it to run, and so they decided to sell it. I paid $100 for this, and as you can see, it's 24 horsepower. The Briggs & Stratton V-Twin came with the battery. I don't know if the battery's any good or not. Supposedly it was a new battery. And I'm just noticing now, and this is the first time I've actually looked at it closely. I have no idea if the fluids were drained or not, but I see right here that the fuel line is disconnected. And I see a pencil stuck in the fuel line down there, which means I need to get myself a fuel filter that would go in line there. I'm not sure if the oil has been drained on it. It looks kind of rusty around that filter. I haven't even checked the oil on it. And I was looking underneath here yesterday before I purchased it, and I noticed that the plug for the ignition switch was disconnected. And I also know this plug here I have plugged back in, but that was disconnected. That's for the solenoid for the drive on it. And I wonder, well, it looks like the fuse is good there. So let's check the oil. How you doing, Jinx? You're really getting interested, aren't you? Let's see what the oil looks like. Well, the oil looks clean. It's in there, but it's low. That's better than being full. So maybe they have drained the oil out of it. But things have been disconnected, and this here should be down on that terminal on the starter. So yeah, so this is my project. It appears here that they have replaced this solenoid too. That looks like a brand new solenoid. So we'll see. Yeah, let's get a different screw on the back side of it. Like I said, it's a 2012. I have no idea how many hours are on it. It doesn't look like it has a lot of wear and tear. Well, you can see here. There's indications of how high the water was. That puppy was flooded. And I believe if we could get this cat to move, I believe the motor will turn. I had tried it the other day, so I can't do it one-handed. So hold on to your hats. Here we go. So, having no information on this engine, the first thing I'm doing is pulling the plugs. And that one don't look bad. I've pulled the other one. And to make sure that the engine cylinders are not washed down, we're going to squirt some penetrating oil up in there. Going right into the cylinders. The engine does turn. Like that. That's a good thing. So the next thing to do is I'm going to hook up my starter switch, which is right there. There's the plug and the switch is behind it. I'm going to hook that up and hook the battery up. I don't even know, the battery's supposed to be brand new, but who knows. I'd say it is, because it appears that the bolts have not even been used, and the bolts for the original battery are still on the cables. So that's a good sign. So we'll hook that up. The date on it is 9/19. I don't know how long this has been sitting. So we'll hook that up and we'll see that it spins over or not with the starter. Well, I haven't put the spark plugs back in yet. I have hooked up the battery and I'm sitting on the seat, and I hooked up the ignition switch, and we're just going to see if it will turn over or not. And we have absolutely nothing. So we got to go back and check our electrical connections and find out what the story is. Now, the natural place to start is at the beginning, and you got to make sure you have power to the battery. So I have my test light hooked up to the ground over there, and yep, we got power there. So the next question is, do we have power to our ignition switch? We have a red wire that's not connected, and I don't see any red wires in the harness going to the starter switch. So let me set you down here again. So the next simplest thing to do is to check and see that the starter actually works. And as I had pointed out earlier, they had replaced the solenoid, because evidently the electrical system has been their problem in trying to restart it after it was flooded. Get out of there, kitty. Come on. Come on. You're going to jump as soon as I do this, because we're going to jump this. And so we know that the starter works and the engine turns over just dandy. So, and this is the starter wire from the starter switch. So we still have to get hot up to our ignition switch. That's where our issue is. So you remember our red wire? Well, I had stuck the probe into the end of the wire, but it was recessed it in there enough so it wasn't catching. I stripped the wire back, and let me see if I get the light in place so you can see that too. There's our issue. That belongs up into the plug for the ignition switch. My guess is if I fix that issue, we'll be able to start this puppy. Now this is the plug off of the ignition switch. If you look down in there, I think you can see the red wire down in there. See if I can zoom you in so you can see it. See that? Whoa! See it down in there where it broke off? Yeah, it just rotted off of there. So somehow I got to get that out of there and see if I can get that connector hooked back up. Hold on to your hats, because here we go. Now to get that plug out of that, get the wire out of that and the terminal end out, it has this kind of a tab in there so that when you push it in from the back of the plastic unit, it goes in there and it locks it in place. So I've got to put a screwdriver in from the front end, push that tab down so I can slide it back out. And the fact is, this is on a momentary on and off switch. I may end up just using this piece here and cutting the wire back and connecting it to the red wire. So I have to slide, and I can't hold the camera and do it at the same time, but I'm going to slide this little screwdriver in over the top of that and push that tab down and push the connector out at the same time. Take my word for it, okay? I'll show it to you when I get it out. Okay, so this one locks differently. Instead of locking to the top, it locks to the bottom. So even the plugs that I have won't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide that puppy together, and I'm going to slide one of my own plugs right in there. And we'll make it work. Okay, there's my hot wire plugged in, and I'll plug the rest of the plug in, and you'll see it all back together, and then we're going to test it. See if I can do this with you guys watching. It's hard to do these things with you guys watching because you're so critical. You know what I mean? Helps if you can see what you're doing down in there too. Okay, I do believe that we have it locked in place. So now the next thing to do is to test it. Let me get my test light out of the way and my woozy thingy out of the way. Now I gotta sit on the seat because it still does have the seat thing hooked up. This is real time. There's still no spark plugs in it, so it's not going to fire. We're just interested in whether or not it's going to crank over off the ignition switch. Aha! Sounds good to me. I think the next thing to do, put some spark plugs in it, see if it'll fire. Well, I don't have any gas in it. I haven't got the fuel filter yet. My son-in-law is coming with it, the big dog. He'll be here shortly. Good thing we're changing the oil. The first thing out of there was water, and it's kind of milky looking there. Yep, not good.
Go ahead.
Okay, guys and gals, I've changed the oil and the filter, and you saw how dirty it was. It needs an air filter still. Everything's hooked up, so it doesn't, I just put gas in it, and I don't know how long it'll take to prime it up, but let's see. I did not check for spark, because I took a chance that that was not an issue. So we're going to pull the air filter off, and we'll give it just a little dribble of gas in there. And then if it won't fire with that, then we'll know that we may have an ignition problem, which means we'll have to pull the top of the motor off. And you can see the water was all the way up in here. That's mud there on the top of the carburetor. Okay, here we go. Okay, somebody put their hand right over that nozzle, right there. Sucking in it all?
Mm-hmm.
Do it again. Okay. It's possible that there is water in the float bowl on the carburetor. That's very possible. In which case it means we're going to have to take the hood right off and drain the carburetor. That's not a surprise, actually, is it? Anybody here think it's a surprise?
Nope, not if it was under that much water.
Nope. Now, let me see, I think this can just lift off of here.
Maybe come back towards me a little bit.
Slides off.
Help with that side. Oh, look at that. It's like taking the hood off a race car.
Back. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug this and we'll take that solenoid off and see if gas comes out of it. And if gas comes out, then we'll know. We'll know if there's gas getting into the carburetor. But if water comes out, that will explain some of the problem too. Sure smells like gas. And this solenoid is stuck. That's part of the problem.
You might want to take that. Oh, I see what you're doing.
You getting it?
Yep. You want me to
That
zoom
was
in?
stuck. So now we're going to put this back in. My guess is that probably the carburetor is going to have to come apart, but we're going to give it a try just for grins. In fact, what I could do . Shall see what we shall see. My guess is we're going to have to take carburetor off and clean it all out.
But the price you paid for this, cleaning out a carburetor, is easy.
Yep. Okay. Here we go again.
I'm gonna lose my drink. right now.
Come on over, Kevin. Now the reason the motor died is this has a reverse kill switch on it. And I'm going to show you how to bypass the reverse kill switch. All you have to do is come down here onto the passenger side, and you see that plug right there?
Yeah.
We're going to pull that plug, and then we'll test it again and see if it goes in reverse. All right, now we're going to give it a try again. We'll see how it works in reverse. This is only, it only matters when you have the mower engaged. Starts right up, don't go. Forward. Yeah. Because I can tell you it's a real pain if you have to get off, if you have to turn your tractor all the way around to back up, or shut the mower deck off to back up and mow again. So there we have it. This is my $100 flood recovery mower, and a great deal, and I appreciate it very much. The reason why it wouldn't start was that broken wire going to the ignition switch, which we repaired. So until next time, this is George, the Shade Tree Fix-It Man, and the big dog's doing the photographing at the moment, and standing next to him is the big O, and the tablet man, he's over there playing with the cats. Thanks again for watching. Bye now.